and welcome to the ZBN podcast. I am your host, Dan, and joining me is Xiaber.
Hey.
And a special guest. His name is Smearg. He is kind of, he's going to join us for a few more things in the upcoming times. You might see him around. Say hi, Smearg.
Hello.
So, the three of us were here today to talk to you about puzzle games and puzzle elements within other games. Just generally puzzles. It's going to be a very puzzling episode or something. I don't know. We're just going to have a little chat. So, what do you guys, just to kick straight into it, because I have nothing else to say as an intro, what do you guys think makes for a good or a bad puzzle?
That's not an easy question.
It's a very puzzling question.
Straight away with the jokes.
Yes.
The pure jokes. Because, sometimes... I'll kick it off then if you guys have to have a little think. Some puzzles sometimes are a bit too slow. It's something where it's really obvious what the solution is, but you have to spend ages, for example, the stuff like block pushing puzzles. Like Zelda has them a lot. Sometimes you'll have them in like Pokemon does them, stuff like that, where you can see the solution straight away, but you have to spend ages just pushing these stupid blocks. There's one in Wind Waker, at the end of one of the dungeons, there's a room with wind coming at you, and you have to push these blocks into like you have to wear your iron boots to push blocks into these little sort of cracks to get across those. And it takes like 10 minutes, and it's just the most tedious thing ever. But it's not really a puzzle, because the moment you see it, you go, okay, I know what I've got to do, and then you just do it. But it's awful. It's so tedious.
Kind of like those puzzles where you have to reflect light on mirrors and stuff. Like, you know what to do. Now you have to go do it.
Yeah, like, the solution is obvious, but doing it is tedious. And I think Zelda suffers from that a lot. And I'm going to complain about Zelda quite a lot in this episode, I reckon. Whereas... go ahead.
I think it's... If you compare the amount of time it takes to figure out the solution to the puzzle and the amount of time that it takes to execute that, you get a pretty clear idea if the puzzle is too slow.
That is a good analysis of that, because sometimes it's too tedious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes, like, I'm going to keep using Zelda as the example. Sometimes there are puzzles in Zelda where it's like, it just clicks and you know what you have to do, and that took you a little bit of time to work out, but the moment you know what you have to do, you can just do it. And I think A Link Between Worlds was very good with that. Like, you'd walk into a room and you'd be like, I don't know what I've got to do here. And then you'll walk around for a little bit and you'll find the solution, and then suddenly you're like, got it. And then you'll just do it. And
you'll merge into a wall? Because that's always the solution.
Yeah, usually you'll merge into a wall. But, it's stuff like that where I like puzzles where you actually have to think, and then the moment you do work it out, you can just do it. It's just this instant satisfaction of like, I know now, and then you just do it.
And then on the other hand, there are puzzles where you cannot figure out the solution at all, and you're just like, why is this puzzle like this?
Zelda is such a good example for this because it has such a range. There's one in Twilight Princess with those statues in the hidden woods or whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. There are two statues, and they're on like square pillars or something, and you have to like, whenever you move, they move, but you have to direct them into a certain...
Oh, I know this one.
It's a really specific path you have to take, but there's no, like... It doesn't telegraph anything, and it's really annoying to actually work out.
Yeah, I always just look up on a guide.
Yep.
I don't even bother.
I have never done that puzzle legitimately. I've always just Googled it and
if
found out.
If you have to look up a puzzle in the guide, I think the puzzle has failed.
There have been plenty of puzzles similar to that in like the Oracle games, and they were done really well, but that one was just annoying.
Yeah, like, I think if you need sort of like, you have to take a specific path, there has to be a way of telegraphing that.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's trial and error.
Yeah, that's a good point. Trial and error is a bad thing. But there's one in Uncharted where there's like a floor with different symbols on it, and you have to walk across it in a certain pattern, and you're given a notebook that has sort of clues for which path you have to take, and you have to use... And Uncharted does this really well. It has a whole system where Nathan Drake will often have like a little notebook, and you can pull that up and look at it, or like he'll have a map or something, and you have to pull that up and look at it and use like these old notes to and apply the information on that to a room you're in. So like you'll be walking around looking at these notes and then trying to like work it out. And yeah, so there's this one where there's like a path and you have to take a specific path of these tiles, but the solution is in these notes he's got, and you have to actually work out what the path is instead of just trial and erroring like, oh, if I go this way, these statues, who cares, you know? I think that Uncharted does that really well. Uncharted is great for puzzles.
Sounds like it, yeah.
I think it's a very sort of, people don't really give credit to Uncharted for what it does in the puzzle element. Like it has a lot of really good segments for that. So, you know, it's good.
I think a good question is what constitutes as a puzzle.
Yeah, that is a good one, because there are some things where like you kind of have to think about it, but it's not really a part. Like,
yeah,
the 3D Zelda games, and I'm going to keep going back to Zeldas. The 3D Zelda games have a few where it's just like walk into a room, look around, find a switch on the ceiling, shoot the switch on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that really a puzzle, or is that just looking around? You know, whereas something like, and again, Link Between Worlds, you'll walk in and you'll see the switch you have to press, and you'll have to actually work out how to get to that switch, and that is a puzzle. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts there.
It's definitely a blurred line that would be really hard to define.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'd say that there are some platformers, especially 2D ones, that it can be a puzzle trying to figure out how to get across something or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's some platforms where there's like no puzzles at all involved, like a lot of Mario games.
Yeah, because Rayman Legends and Origins have a few of those little puzzles where you have to get the coins.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the platforming is just basic jump and jump and jump. But then sometimes there'll be little rooms with a more puzzling element or something like that. So I think there's kind of a line there, but it's kind of, I don't know, kind of blurred. Like it's more of a gradient of what constitutes as an actual puzzle.
Yeah.
Depending on how much thought you actually have to put into it, and how much of it's sort of reactive, and how much of it's more sort of thought based.
Like, would you consider RPGs, like specifically turn-based RPGs, to be puzzle-ish?
It depends, I think.
Depends. Like, if
I
you
think
had
there's-
to figure out how to defeat an enemy without just pressing attack constantly.
Actually,
There are definitely elements in there.
yeah. Undertale is a very good example where the fight can be approached as a puzzle.
Yeah.
Because, I suppose this isn't any sort of spoiler, it's the first thing you learn. In that game, the fights generally give you an option to fight, but also an option to try to end the fight without fighting. Basically, to convince
Pacifist
the
mode.
enemy to give up.
Isn't there a
And-
boss in Metal Gear like that where you can just leave him to die of old age?
Oh,
That's
I've
not
heard
a
about
puzzle, but that just reminded me of that. I've never played Metal Gear, but I just remember that is a thing.
I thought... Well, I haven't played it either, but the way I heard it, it made it sound like if you took a certain amount of time to get to that fight, he just died of old age before you got there.
Yeah,
But
well,
I
might
could be
be that.
remembering wrong.
Might be that. We don't know what we're talking about. But anyway, go on with Undertale. That sounded interesting.
Oh,
Sorry
well,
for interrupting.
yeah. Some of the enemies are pretty easy to pacify, but some of them do not want to give up, and it's a whole... It's
like
sort of a
Rick Astley?
puzzle of, like, text options to resolve the conflict peacefully.
Yeah. It was pretty interesting. I played the demo of it.
Yeah.
I've
do
never
recommend.
heard of Undertale. I'll be honest
I
with you.
definitely suggest people play at least the demo. You can find it just online somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Sponsored by Undertale. Find it online somewhere.
Well, everyone else is sponsoring Undertale online. We might as well too.
True.
So,
I was
then-
meaning to go on, actually.
Okay, yeah, but then there's also just RPGs, well, Eastern ones at least, usually have puzzles involved in them. Like Final Fantasy X has a ton of puzzles, like going through the temples or other things like that.
And with this, you've sort of reminded me of Paper Mario has some of them, like
Yeah.
how the
Absolutely.
first boss you have in Thousand Year Door you have to get the cricket badge because he's
You
scared
actually
of
don't
crickets.
have to. You can beat
Do you
him
not?
without it. As a child, I did,
Oh, nice.
because I never found the badge.
Ah, fair enough. But I just remember that's kind of like a puzzle element
Yeah.
that helps you in the fight. I didn't think you could do it without that. I have no idea.
It's
there's got to be
significantly
more.
harder.
Because I'm sure there are definitely
Oh,
more sort of
yeah.
puzzle elements in RPGs to help you, but I don't know anything about RPGs for the most part.
I feel like there were some Paper Mario ones in the first one where you had to do specific things to be able to attack the bosses better.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like they're invulnerable until you work out a weakness or
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a
In-
puzzle-like thing.
In the Thousand Year Door, the entirety of the second area is very puzzle heavy. That's the Boggly Woods and the Great Boggly Tree.
Oh man,
Where it's like-
I remember not enjoying that whole whole
There's a
part.
lot of backtracking, going back and forth with your giant horde of not Pikmin, the Punies, that you have to like get to follow you around. It can be hard to deal with them, and it admittedly is pretty slow, but it's very puzzle heavy.
Yeah, fair enough. I think outside of combat RPGs probably do have quite a lot of puzzles, sort of puzzle elements in there, don't they?
Yeah.
But again, not my area. Don't know. I could be completely wrong on that.
And then, of course,
'Cause, I mean-
there's just the basic puzzle games like Tetris and Minesweeper.
Minesweeper is a classic, and I love it, and it makes my top 50 games of all time list.
That's
Wow.
interesting.
Yep. It comes in at, I think, 43. It's somewhere around there. I love Minesweeper. I think it is genuinely one of the best games of all time because it is so simple, but it's so brilliantly designed in a way that like every game is different and every time you play it's a different thing. But there are skills and knowledge that you pick up as you play. Like if you see a 3 on a line, you know that all 3 of those are mines and stuff like that. And it's just good.
Until you
man.
get to the
Minesweeper is-
very end when, like, you can't tell based on the numbers which of the two have it or not.
Yep. Right at the end, like near the end, you tend to get like, oh look, I have to guess now. I've got so far, and I tried
50-50.
so hard.
But in the end,
it doesn't even matter.
I've actually never put more than like 5 minutes into a game of Minesweeper, but now I gotta give it more of a try.
I tend to I'll play it when I'm listening to podcasts, so
It's a
I'll
great
just
thing
sort
to
of
play in class when you're bored.
true, or when you lose internet connection.
Yeah.
That happens. But yeah, I'll be listening to a podcast and I'll just have mine. Another one I have is Solitaire. Is a good one to do
Oh,
when you're
yeah.
listening to podcasts. Just sit and play Solitaire. Brilliant puzzle game. Excellent.
Free Cell's pretty
um,
good, too.
Do computers still have those like built in by default?
Yeah,
Some
I think
do.
so. I think Windows 10. I remember having it. built
That
in, but I
motorcycle?
don't.
Yeah, sorry about that. I live pretty close to a highway.
The gangs are coming for him.
Is there a dead body attached to it?
No one's gonna understand that.
And we're not going to explain it, so it's fine. Go and follow the ZBN on Twitter, and you'll know what the hell that meant. Oh man. So, speaking of RPGs, I know that Pokemon has a lot of sort of puzzles going on, and
Yes.
Smearg, you're a fan of those games. I'm not, but you are, so you can talk about those for a bit if you want.
Well, every gym, for example, in from the first generation until, well, even still, not every gym nowadays is a puzzle or puzzle based, but a lot
There
of them
several
are.
gems, yeah.
Yeah. They're, I would say, a pretty good, like, on the whole. They generally are more figuring things out ahead of time and planning your route rather than trial and error, and it's not usually the sort of thing where it takes too long to get through it, or even if you have to restart because you missed something, it's usually small enough that it doesn't get too annoying.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they have the trainers in each gym to break it up. so that it doesn't really get old if it's like one of the longer ones.
Yeah, or in other words, the ones that you fight and then you go back to the Pokemon Center and then you come back.
Yeah, of course.
Which is what I have always done.
I'm so glad you don't have to refight the trainers. Although it would be a
Yeah,
really
that would
good
be
experience.
That would be incredible for grinding, wouldn't it?
But then you would have to fight all of them before getting to the leader.
Just get a bunch of lemonades.
Sure.
Also, with Pokemon, just figuring out how to build your team is a good puzzle there. Like, what are the best Pokemon with types and abilities and stuff?
Nah, just get the Fire Starter and then train them as much as you can and win.
Yeah, but they're horrible against Rock type.
So, train them up just grind a whole lot. That's what I do.
You could do that with any type of starter.
You're the kind of person that says any RPG is easy because you grind too much.
I'm the sort of person who doesn't play RPGs because I think they're boring because I have to grind too much. I can't deal with like strategy in Pokemon. I look at like stats and I look at all that management and all that stuff and I'm like, nope, just no, I'm not doing it.
The great thing about Pokemon is that you can strategize and do well without knowing the stats of each Pokemon, as long as you know what your Pokemon does very well.
Well, my strat is, and I only really play Gen 3, my strat is get Torchic because it's cute. Get Breloom because it's cute. That's it. That's all I do.
Honestly, that's not bad. That's the same as me, actually. Plus, Breloom can learn Spore, and, like, that's broken.
Yeah, it's a horrible game, isn't it? Like, why would they even release that? I heard loads of people were hyped about it.
Okay.
It's a Spore joke. Everyone get on the Spore hate train.
I got it, but just too slowly.
So yeah, what would you say, guys, is your favourite Pokemon gym puzzle?
Oh, man.
Oh.
I haven't really done that much because I've only played the first two in the last generation. And the first one only really had like one that had one, I think.
That's kind of surprising because I know you love JRPGs. I would have thought you'd be more into Pokemon.
Well, I didn't really play Nintendo consoles really until I got a Wii.
Ah, okay, that's fair enough, yeah.
In the first generation, Sabrina's gym and the final gym, which is Giovanni's, are very puzzly.
Giovanni's was just like, oh, you go this direction, okay. It
Wait,
was just a bunch of trial and error.
Maybe I'm thinking of it wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of it in
had
some
the
other...
slide things that would push you around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Lieutenant Surge's was also kind of a puzzle, but kind of not.
Oh, that was stupid. Was that the one where you had to get the 2 in a row?
I think so. That was entirely trial and error. You just had to happen to check the right 2 trash cans.
Oh yeah, was that the one where it's just a whole room filled with loads of like bins?
Yeah.
And you
just
had to
filled.
find the 2 buttons or whatever that worked. I'm all like, is there like a puzzle? Am I supposed to be like figuring out something? Nope, it's just
It's
trying until you get it.
Complete trial and error. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm trying to think. I don't actually have that good of a memory of it, but I vaguely remember there was one in, I think it was the gym with the psychic twins that had loads of conveyor belts.
Oh yeah, Tate and Lisa.
Yeah, that one was quite good.
I haven't done that generation.
I feel like X and Y was kind of lacking in the puzzle department.
Yeah.
A lot of the gyms were just made to look pretty, but they didn't have much of a challenge in the puzzles.
It was actually my first Pokemon game, my mom, and I was just all like, wow, this is super easy. I thought Pokemon was supposed to be hard.
Yeah. They went back to the old sort of formula a little bit with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire in a lot of ways that I feel.
I really need to get that.
Nah, don't. They ruined one of the towns.
Oh, well, one, but everything else is so much better, honestly. It's probably my favorite Pokemon game to date.
You can fly around the overworld.
I got a free copy of Omega Ruby and I played it up until Moorville, and then I went, what the hell is this? What the hell have they done? And then I put it down and I haven't played it since.
No,
they did ruin a little bit. But you could, after that, everything is just the same but better. Like, they didn't ruin anything else, I swear.
It's just the same, but better. That makes complete sense.
Oh man, good times. Well, anyway, less Pokemon. I'm done with that now.
All right.
Okay.
I thought I'd give you your time to talk about Pokemon for a little bit.
Thank you.
And then we'd go back to good games.
Well, like Pikmin or Shadow of the Colossus.
Do you want to do Shadow of the Colossus?
I mean, they kind of are similar. How do I get to this place here?
Okay, I was gonna say, like, how are those two games similar in the slightest?
Well, Pikmin, you're fighting giant things. Shadow Colossus, you're fighting giant things.
Pikmin,
They're
you're
both
fighting,
video
like,
games.
average-sized things, and you're tiny.
They're both in the same generation.
Oh yeah, they are, aren't they? I was about to question that. I was about to question that because I played the Wii version of Pikmin and the PS3 version of but that still is the same generation, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. Anyway, Shadow of the Colossus is great. It's a great game. What's your favourite Colossus, Xiaber?
I like I think it was the second one with the sword or whatever.
Oh, what, when you're on that massive sort of circular platform and you've got to wait for... I hate that one. Because timing, being far away from the sword, that he doesn't, like, knock you over.
I don't know.
But close enough to be able to get onto the sword, just... I don't like it.
Besides the last one, my biggest issued one was the stupid little kind of hog thing or whatever they had to use flames with.
Oh, I really like that one.
It took forever and I kept missing jumping on him.
I actually like the puzzle for that one, because the idea that he's scared of fire, so you have to sort of like scare him off the edge of a cliff with the flame, because he's completely invulnerable until you sort of make him fall off the cliff.
I remember seeing a Game Grumps animation thing of that, and it was really awesome.
I have not. You'll have to link me to that at some point.
Alright.
But I would say one of the best puzzle colossi is the one that's a horse. And you have to go into the tunnel and trick him into sort of like looking down at you, and then you have to run around the back real quick and jump on his back. Like, I really like that as a puzzle, because it's it's quite creative, isn't it?
Actually, I also liked I'm trying to remember. It was one that had to do with a lake underneath you, but I can't remember if it was a swimming one or a flying one.
Was it Avion, the bird, where you have to sort of shoot at him till he swoops down at you and jump onto his wing?
That was probably it.
Because that is the best Colossus, in my opinion. It's not really a puzzle, it's just kind of like annoy him by shooting tiny little needles at him until he comes at you.
The battle area looked really cool, the enemy looked really cool, and it wasn't super annoying trying to get on him.
Yeah. But puzzle-wise, a lot of them are kind of like, you want to exploit like the Colossus's curiosity, like you want to make it either come at you or because sometimes they're really sort of docile and innocent, and like you've just got to make them look for you. Like there's the one where you have to like jump onto its beard, and you just have to hide, and then it will come and like try and look for where you are, and then you jump on its beard, stab it and kill it because you're an evil creature.
Yes.
But yeah, that game is good, and it has some really interesting puzzle elements, and it's very cross-genre, because like it's really hard to define, like is it a platformer, is it a puzzle game, is it an action, who even knows? So good.
Probably wouldn't count it as puzzle. It'd probably be like an open world adventure thing or something.
It's so vague, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it definitely does have a lot of decent puzzle elements to it, and I'm sure there's like one or two that I'm forgetting that are quite clever, but no, I've forgotten them, so who knows?
Yeah.
Might be.
And then with Pikmin, it is also like, how do I get to this destination, or how do I defeat this enemy without killing all my Pikmin?
Or in my case, how do I get to it without killing too many of them? Because I am heartless, and I am completely okay with sacrifice.
I just remember on the third game, there is this one boss monster, and I didn't realize what attack I was going to be using, and it used it, and like, I was horrified of all my Pikmin dying from it. I was just all like, oh my gosh.
Thankfully, in the third one, you can like set back the day if you just lost.
I think I had to do that the first time, because I was just like, oh my gosh, this enemy is horrifying and ate all my Pikmin.
Nice. I'm trying to think, because I know I haven't played Pikmin 3, but I know in the first couple there were a few good ones of like you had to use like blue Pikmin to go across, build a bridge in order to get another type across that water and stuff like that, and there were some really good puzzles with that, I think.
Yeah.
It was really well designed. I can't think of any specifically because it's been completely ages since I played those games, but like.
And then the third Pikmin made it so that you had 3 people, that you could have 3 teams of people going around at the same time, and it was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, because Pikmin 2 had 2 of them, because you had Olimar and Louis.
Yeah.
That was quite good because it added an extra element. Is it 3 in the new one then?
Yeah, so Pikmin 4, you get, I bet it's going to be 4 teams.
Yeah, probably.
And it would just gradually become more like Pikmin 8. It's just like complete chaos.
Yeah.
By like Pikmin 50, you're
We
playing
probably
as individual
have
Pikmin.
8-player Pikmin with 200
Can you-
Pikmin for each people.
Oh my god.
Oh man, can't handle that. That's too much.
The power of next-gen consoles.
Yes.
That's how Nintendo measure the power of their consoles: is how many Pikmans can we put on it.
That'd be pretty awesome. Wii U can hold 400 Pikmin.
I mean, that kind of was how they started with the GameCube, right?
Yeah. How
Oh,
many
yeah, 'cause
little
didn't it-
Marios can it hold?
Yeah, because it was Mario 128, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was like the demo for it, and then that became Pikmin.
Yeah.
We've gone very off topic, haven't we?
A little
I
bit.
like it.
What the hell are we talking about? Puzzles.
Talking about Pikmin.
I honestly can't think of any specific ones in Pikmin, which is really lame because I'm sure there are a lot of them. If you can think of any, put them in the comments. Give us a discussion. We'll reply. It'd be great. Do our jobs for us.
Yes.
So, I was meaning to ask earlier. So, of course, it's not so great when the puzzle runs too slow on the actual execution. How do you feel when part of the challenge is in the execution of the puzzle? Like, it's not necessarily easy to execute what you need to do once you figure out the solution.
It depends on how forgiving they are with failure.
Yeah. It's hard for me to think of examples at the moment that are good.
I've got one. In Rayman Legends and Origins, for the puzzles sort of elements where you have to get the coin and you have to sort of work out where you have to go, but then there's a little bit of platforming once you've worked it out. That's quite forgiving because in those games you just respawn at the start of the room.
Especially if you're
You know,
playing
it's-
multiplayer.
Yeah, that's a great example. That's honestly
Yeah,
one of the best
I love
examples
Rayman Origins.
of a death system in a game. That
You
I
can
can
Yeah,
also-
because it's really forgiving. So if the execution of the puzzle is difficult, it's kind of like, oh, I'll just go and do it again. It's fine.
And I'm
So,
reminded
it's
of
good.
Oracle of Ages puzzle where you're supposed to highlight all the floor blocks in the room, but you have to like do it as you go on. You can't like skip blocks or whatever. And so if you mess up, you just get out of the room and go back in, and there it is again.
Just reset it.
Yeah.
Right.
I've got another one. Portal is quite forgiving.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, it is very reliant on, like, you have to work out what you have to do, and then the execution itself is sometimes quite difficult. And
Oh yeah,
if you,
especially when you have to place portals mid-air.
yeah, and if you do screw that up, usually they will just sort of be forgiving and let you restart quite close.
Especially when you're playing
Um,
the 2-player mode and your partner sucks.
Don't speak to me of the 2-player mode. there are so many puzzles in the co-op in Portal 2 where it's like, here's a light bridge. One of you has to hold the light bridge open so the other can go across. And if you're the one holding, like, going across the light bridge, you're just sort of slowly edging across it, like looking at your friend, just like, don't you dare, don't you dare, don't you dare, don't you dare, and then they do it. They just let you die.
When you have to like use 8 portals together to do a light bridge puzzle, and you're all like, "Oh, which portal did we just use last time?"
Yep. And then you're like, oh, I think it was this one, and then you do it, and
then you
it's
all
like,
die.
nope, all dead,
Both
completely
die.
dead. Oh, it's good times. Good. I love Portal 2. It's
Absolutely.
so good. It's amazing.
For a bad example, the one that was coming to
Yeah.
mind was certain parts of Sonic 06.
Oh god, not
Such
Sonic
as,
06.
The part in the Silver campaign where you have to push giant boulders or whatever into a hole. Or giant, like, I don't know if they were like billiard balls. I don't recall exactly.
I think I vaguely remember this, but I don't at the same time. So,
There
Who
wasn't
knows?
much of a puzzle aspect. You just kind of had to get it from one end to the other. But there were so
Yeah.
many holes for it to fall into, and it was so unforgiving, and the controls
Yeah.
were so bad.
oh my god. I was not expecting Sonic 06 to be brought up, but I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did.
Amazing.
Damn it, Sonic 06. Damn it. Can we real quick, because I know we were bashing on Zelda puzzles a little bit earlier. Can we talk about the good Zelda puzzles? Because there's a little list we've made, and I think it's worth bringing these up. There was a genuinely incredible puzzle in Phantom Hourglass, where you had your map and you had to shut the DS in order to, like, transfer a seal or whatever across, which was amazing. It was a really clever use of that technology, and it was like, I like this. I'm happy with this. Even though it took me ages to work out that that was what the hell I had to do, because there was no way of telling me, and
That is really clever.
it's a really clever sort of puzzle, and people bash the DS games quite a lot, but I thought they did some clever, interesting things.
They had interesting puzzles. Yeah, it's just everything else wasn't that great.
Yeah, I can get behind that, but I think, there is definitely merit within those.
Yeah, I think the issue was that the puzzles were pretty good, but the way they looked was awful.
I don't know. I don't think Phantom Hourglass looks that bad. I'm a defender of Phantom Hourglass, and yet I will hate on Ocarina of Time all I like.
I like Spirit Tracks better.
Yeah, you're wrong. You're wrong. The train is bad.
The boat is just
You should
as
feel bad. No, the boat's cool because it has Linebeck in it, and Linebeck is one of the best characters in Zelda ever. Keep track of 8-Brit, because we're going to talk about that soon.
Zelda's in the train with you. Who knows what they're doing in there?
No, just no. So in Skyward Sword, another sort of underwhelming, not so great Zelda game, the time shift stones.
The desert was awesome.
They were good, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were the best part of that whole game.
Pretty much.
Because I just remember it was really cool, because it was like these two worlds, and you had to work out, certain things would be functional in others, and it was cool. It was an interesting thing, and I've completely forgotten that game, and I don't remember any specific examples of where that was used well, but it was used well, and that's what matters.
I also enjoyed the one part in the volcano area when you lose all your items and stuff.
I don't remember that.
Well, pretty much you have to sneak past people and figure out how to kill them and take your items back.
Yeah, I have no memory of that. Does remind me of Wind Waker though, in the Forsaken Fortress when you lose your sword.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was interesting.
It's pretty much like that, except that you can't take the enemy's weapons.
That is lame.
It is lame. They should bring that back.
Yeah, that was so cool.
It was pretty satisfying every
It's like,
time.
I have this huge sword. I'll take it to the next room. Why can't I take it to the next room?
Plus, you could just launch it 20 feet if you so decided.
Just like, Link, holy cow, you're so strong. Where's all that muscle at?
Oh man, yeah, that is a good point. It was fun.
And I'll just
trying to think.
say it again. Oracle games. The end.
I should probably play those, shouldn't I?
Especially Ages. It is just packed full of a lot of awesome puzzles.
Fair enough. I won't. I'll say that I'll play it someday, but I won't. I'll never get to it. My backlog is too intense at this point.
I understand.
But I've mentioned it before. A Link Between Worlds has some really good ones. There's that boss where you have to merge with his shield.
Oh yeah.
And then he's all like, "Where did you go?" And he lifts the shield, and that lets you get behind him. I thought that was a really clever sort of boss puzzle.
I think the really great part is that he finally figured it out and so threw the shield away.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Oh man, that game was so good. There were so many clever little design elements in there, and it was... Oh, why couldn't Skyward Sword be like that?
Because it's 3D.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder what the new Zelda U puzzles will be like.
Hopefully they won't be walk into a room, look for a switch, shoot the switch.
Make the
Hopefully
switch dizzy.
they'll be good. Run around in circles a bit, who cares? I'm trying to think. There's definitely... Did Ocarina of Time actually have any good puzzles in it, or is it just me that hates Ocarina of Time? Because I can't think of any. All I can think of from Ocarina of Time is walk into a room, look onto the ceiling, oh look, there's a switch, hit the switch, move on.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if there was anything besides very obvious things like hit the switch or press the button and quickly run to the chest before it catches on fire again.
I've got one. The Forest Temple with the twisty hallways.
Yeah, I guess that was pretty good.
Those are quite cool. So
it's like the first dungeon as an adult, and it's the only one that has complex puzzles like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could technically say the Water Temple is puzzling, just trying to figure out which rooms to go to next, but...
That's more of a trial and error sort of walking around until you find the right room situation.
And then you just keep going back to the rooms you've already finished, and you're like, oh, I've been here.
It's a bit embarrassing, but I had a lot of trouble with a lot of the puzzles in Ocarina of Time. I just don't think that my way of thinking is, like, suited to those puzzles. Like, the very first one, I think it was, where you have to drop bombs in, like, the skull of the giant Dodongo or whatever it was. That took me absolutely forever. I think I had to have it told to me that you had to do that to move on.
You say that is bad. In Wind Waker, when I was a kid, I couldn't find the shield in Outset Island. So for about, like, I mean, I was about sort of 7, so it's like whatever. But for about like 2 years, I could never get out off of Outset Island because I couldn't find the shield. I was just like, what? Why are you telling me to find a shield? There's literally not one here, and I never thought to go into my own house and look.
That reminds me of a fake review for A Link to the Past where the person just stayed in the house because the uncle said to.
That's pretty great. But yeah, I was a dumb kid.
I want to bring up Ages again because the Water Temple in Ages is so much better than Water Temple in Ocarina of Time. Like, it uses the same, like, pump water up or down levels system, and it was just so much better.
Twilight Princess did that as well. And I thought the one in Twilight Princess was quite interesting.
It was very interesting. I'm not sure.
Because it was more like there were channels of water, and you had to, like, have it channeling a certain way. And
although I hated the stupid piranhas or whatever that were in there.
Yeah, that was kind of annoying, but it was a pretty good dungeon, I thought. Twilight Princess had generally quite good dungeons. It's just like a shame that everything around them wasn't very good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, like, that Twilight Princess definitely had some other good, really interesting puzzles, but
I feel like Twilight Princess puzzles eventually revolved around using your double hook shots a lot.
Yeah, but the double hook shots were cool, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were pretty great. It's like, oh look, I'm Spider-Man. Gonna Spider-Man all over the place. Good times. Good times.
So that they didn't reach far enough a lot of times.
Yeah, it's true. I'm gonna go completely off topic now, away from that. Have you guys seen in Super Mario Maker, people have come up with some really clever puzzle elements to sort of utilize all of those tools and add in different, like, P-switch or trying to think. There's definitely other ones, like having a sub-world sort of puzzle and using doors cleverly, and there are some really good ones out there.
I've only seen a couple, them, but that would be a lie.
I haven't really encountered too many. I've tried to make some of my own. I've spent more hours making levels by far than I have playing levels. But
yeah, I think I'm probably the same.
I don't have the game.
Ah, rest in peace.
You
should get it. It's really good.
I shouldn't, because I don't have any time at all, and that would make me not have time for anything else.
You could still have fun playing other people's levels.
Yeah.
Quit your job. Play Mario Maker forever.
Quit both
what
my
could
jobs,
go wrong?
Quit school. Just play Mario Maker. Somehow profit.
Just become a hermit. Yeah, it'll be alright, you know. Just charge people to play your levels. It'd be fine.
Yeah.
Microtransactions.
Get sued by Nintendo.
I'm trying to find... Have we got... Oh, here's one. Here's a good one. Dr. Karishima's Brain Training. A game that I only ever owned because I really like Sudokus, and it had a really good system for them. And I think that playing Sudokus digitally is better than doing it on paper.
To be clear, I think that this game is called Brain Age in the North Americas.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, well done.
And it's called Sudoku in North America as well.
Yeah, Sudokus, that's what I said. It's fine.
You're adding an S to the end.
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Basically, those are really good, and I think they transition really well into a digital medium, and they're good puzzles.
They do.
And I also think mobile gaming does some good things for puzzle games. Can we talk about mobile gaming, or is that, like, not allowed?
You can talk about it.
There are some really... mobile games, because they're so accessible, there are some really good sort of simple, basic puzzle games that exist on there. Stuff like 1010 is really good. It's kind of like almost like a Tetris style thing where you have to make lines within this grid, and it gives you different sizes of blocks, and you have to arrange them in a way to sort of get rid of them, but then over time it builds up and you end up with, you know, not enough space for certain things. It's good. It's a very good puzzle game. And then like 2048 is really good, and they're sort of, and again, Solitaire, mentioned it earlier. Great game to play on mobile.
I think I have heard of that first game, but I've never really seen it close enough to understand.
It's good.
2048
It's worth
I've
picking
spent
up.
some time in, and that's fun to just mess around with for a while.
Yeah, 2048. It's good when you're just waiting for a bus, you know?
Yeah.
Just whip out a good little mobile game, have a little bit of fun.
Just whip it out.
Just whip it out.
Oh man, I feel so unprepared. I have one mobile game that's a puzzle game that I actually love, but I... Oh wait, I think I just remembered the name. I believe it's called Monument Valley.
I've heard of that, but I haven't played it myself.
You should, look up pictures of it, because it's beautiful visually, if you ask me. It's, minimalism to
That's cool.
an incredible degree. And it's interesting because it's, the only thing you can really do is walk around and, step on buttons and stuff and open doors. But it's interesting because the puzzle is a small room that, unfolds and you can turn it in various dimensions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Speaking of various dimensions, Super Paper Mario
Yes.
had some clever ones with the old switching from 2D to 3D mechanic. I remember there being some clever ones in there. There are also the Paper Mario series has some quite good puzzles within it. I remember there was the chapter where you end up in crazy debt and she's run on this wheel forever to earn back this debt. I didn't work out that you could do a cheat to get around that. So so I thought you literally just had to hold down the right button to run on this wheel. And I legitimately did that for about 5 hours, and then I went, okay, this is ridiculous. So I googled it, and I found out there was that exploit where you could get free money or whatever.
Oh my
and I
God.
felt like such an idiot because I had no idea. I was just like, oh, okay, I'm a dumb idiot fool.
Is there any way to actually make all the money that you need to just by running in the wheel and doing her chores?
Yeah, tape down the controller.
So if you just do that, it will actually
I have
succeed,
no idea.
You can pay her off.
You would have to leave your GameCube on for days,
Yeah.
possibly weeks. It's ridiculous.
That'd be
I gotta
amusing.
know though. Do you even have to fight her at that point?
I don't know. I wonder if anyone's actually done that.
That reminds me
feel
of the
like someone
people that
must have
tried
tried.
to get to level 99 in the first area of RPGs.
That's pretty great.
It's pretty
I remember
stupid.
I used to in Pokemon. I used to put Sapphire into the Game Boy Player for GameCube, leave it on all day while I was at school, and tape the thingy up, and I'd put one of my Pokemon in daycare,
Oh my god.
and then I would go. You know how there were the bike slopes?
Yeah.
They counted for steps. So I would just be going up one of those over and over again with the controller taped down.
Oh,
all
I
day.
see what you mean. And it just pushed you down immediately.
Yeah, so it was the most cheap grinding because it was just tape it down.
And
It's fine.
It would cost $1
So it
million
worked.
to get your Pokemon back.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. I'm loaded in Pokemon World.
Yeah.
Isn't it great when kids can just make millions of dollars off of fighting Pokemon?
But if we try and do it in the real world, it's immoral.
Stealing Kurt Gunner's lunch money by beating up a Pokemon.
Oh man.
It just makes me excited for Pokemon Go.
No.
I am reserving judgment about that game. I'm not going to get hyped until I see what it's really like in terms of gameplay. Because I have a feeling it's going to be very shallow.
It's not really the game I'm excited for, it's all the people playing it.
That's fair.
I guess if there's a community behind that, it could be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But who knows? I don't know anything about it. All I know is that there's Pokemon in the real world now, and
In the real
I don't
world.
care. I just don't care about Pokemon Go.
They haven't
Because you
really
don't
said
like
too much
RPGs.
about it, honestly.
Yeah. Have we got anything else sort of important that we should be covering?
I'm trying to think here.
Well,
I would touch on the Batman Arkham games, but the only real puzzle elements that are really important to that are the Riddler things that I never did, so I can't really talk about those in depth. Because I think I've mentioned this in a podcast before. Whenever I see the Riddler knocking about, I just go, yeah, go away. I don't need to deal with you, so who cares? Because the whole deal with the Riddler is like, oh, I'm smarter than Batman, and it's like, if you were smarter than me, you wouldn't bother wasting your time setting up all these stupid, elaborate trophy traps. Just go and do something else. Go and live your life, Riddler. Stop wasting my time. You're useless. So there's that.
Here's something. Are there any like games you're excited for that has puzzle things about it coming up at all?
Uncharted 4. The Last Guardian, I assume, is going to probably have sort of puzzly elements using the
Yeah, it seems so.
the bird dog
thing, yeah.
Just from that video that we saw last E3, it seemed sort of...
Whenever
Man, that was
comes
hype.
out. It reminds me of Eco, except a little girl. It's a huge bird dog thing you're
it's like a cross between Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, isn't it?
I guess.
It's like Ico, but instead of a girl, it's a Colossus.
Yes. I wonder if there's still a love story involved.
No, don't. That's creepy. Don't make it weird.
Well, you know just based on the game that the thing's probably gonna die at the end anyway.
Oh, don't say that. Why have you got to say that? Okay, so I'm looking at the document we've got where we've listed ideas, and I think this was me, but we've got Metroid, and the description underneath it is, where do I go and do, and why am I playing such a boring game?
Heck.
And then Keck, which I think that was Chris. Do any of you have anything to add about Metroid?
I picked up a Metroid game for the first time a few months ago. I picked up Super Metroid on the Virtual Console. And I am loving the atmosphere and all, and the gameplay feels solid. But where do I go and what do I do?
Oh, I'm so glad someone else has that opinion, because that was me in Metroid Prime. I was just walking around like, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not having fun, whatever. And then I quit after like 4 hours.
I've tried to go back to it a number of times, but I just cannot figure out where I need to go.
I think there's just a group of people in society who just don't get Metroid, and, you know, everyone hates us.
I remember getting the second Metroid, Revenge of Samus, for free or whatever, and
I thought you were about to say Revenge of the Sith, and I'm like, what?
Revenge of the Samus, and I had no idea what to do.
Fair enough.
I really want to get into it, because I appreciate it on so many other levels, but I feel like I can't play this. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Maybe if I play with a guide, I'll be able to enjoy the parts that I want to enjoy and still get through it.
Maybe. I'm just kind of like, I wish I loved Metroid Prime as much as like Shay and Piddle and other people do, but I can't do it. It's not my sort of game.
Yeah.
Whatever, I'll just go and play something that I do enjoy. It's fine. So, yeah.
So we haven't really touched upon indie games. I don't know if anyone else plays a lot of those sort of games, but
I haven't, so I'm kind of, if you've got some good things to say on them, go for it.
Yeah, okay, so two really come to mind, and they're both very well known in terms of indie games, and they're both platformers.
Yep.
There's Braid, which is a straight-up side-scrolling 2D platformer where...
Is that the one with the time-slowing situation?
Yes, it's not time...
I've been meaning to pick it up.
It's very good. I actually have to finish it still.
The
whole deal is that there are puzzles in every room, and it's the main focus. Platforming is like secondary to it, and the gimmick is that you can rewind time for an infinitely long... Like, there's no limit to how far you can go back. And all you have to do is hit spacebar. So, at any point, you can just... Like, if you miss a jump, you can just rewind back to the ground really quick and easy. Yeah. And you also can't die as a result. If you die, it just tells you to rewind back a few seconds. And the way that puzzles come into play is that certain objects are not affected by your rewinding. So, like, they'll continue to move in real time as you rewind the rest of the world. So there's a lot of maneuvering things through that. And it's very interesting and hard to wrap your mind around. I would almost say it's a Portal situation in terms of, like, changing the way that you think about the puzzle.
Yeah, that's cool.
VVVVV 6Bs is more based around platforming with just a few puzzle elements. It's an extremely simplistic game. I want to say it looks like it could be on the Atari. And it's just really precise, difficult platforming. And the gimmick here is that at any point you can hit a button to flip gravity.
Yeah.
That's always a
Fair
fun
enough.
platformer thing for Flash games.
Yeah, it really... It's not like a new or unique idea, but it does use it very well. And it's just a really tight, fun game. Very
Yeah.
difficult platforming for those who are into that.
Fair enough. When you were saying that, I was thinking Limbo has some
Oh,
good puzzle
yeah.
elements to
yeah.
it. You just reminded me of that. That's quite good.
Yeah.
I've just thought of something that we probably should have mentioned earlier. Something that I think some puzzle games do really well is gradually introducing new elements that you sort of have to. You have a core element, like a core mechanic, and then over time the game adds in new things, and as it goes, they introduce new things, like more and more and more, until you've got so many things and you have to combine them all.
Yeah, and they usually add things on like as soon as you get used to the old thing, so you never get bored.
Yeah, you get used to something new, and then they add another thing in, and you have to combine it. Or something goes away for a while, and then comes back later, and you're like, oh yeah, that thing. Now I can combine it with this thing that I've learned and stuff like that.
Yep.
Portal does that quite a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
Portal 2 does it more than Portal 1, but like, when the light bridges, the gravity funnels, and then the gels.
And lasers.
And
Yeah.
lasers. So like, later on you'll have like the gravity funnels, and you'll have to get the gels and use those to float gel across to a different area and stuff like that. And I think that's used really, really well. I can't think of any other examples of that sort of build up of concepts.
I would actually say that the first Portal is excellent in that regard, in that like the entire first part of the game, looking back on it, is basically a tutorial for the second half. And by extension for the second game.
It's been so long since I played the first Portal, so I kind of don't remember that much
I still need to
about
play
it, because I only played it once, and I've kind of forgotten a lot of it because it was about 5 years ago.
The whole deal is that like the first half of the game is GLaDOS' test chambers, where it's throwing you all of these different puzzle elements in a controlled environment where you can tackle them like one at a time and sort of figure them out slowly.
Yeah.
And then they all come into play together in the second half. And
Yeah,
it's just a really good example of how you can make a tutorial still feel like a real part of the game.
Yes, that is a very good idea, like good concept of like teaching a player through actual gameplay instead of just giving them a bunch of buttons like on a list.
Yeah.
Or telling them this is how it works, or doing what Skyward Sword does and going, hey look, this is a puzzle where you have to blow up a wall. Look, there's a bomb. Look, there's a wall. Go and do that. I predict there's a 93% chance that this bomb will probably blow up the wall, so go and do it.
Yeah.
I hate you, Skyward Sword. I hate you so much.
But hey, at least they introduced bomb bowling.
Bomb bowling. Oh man, bomb bowling. No.
No?
It was really great, except for the part where I'm laying down on that couch and now I have to get up.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you're not, because I have like arms on my desk chair, so I had to like lean weirdly over and try and do it. It's not fun. It's not fun at all.
It's just like Wii Sports Bowling.
Yeah, because everyone wanted Wii Sports Bowling in game form. Blech.
Hey,
It
bowling
is a
may
game.
save your life if you're bowling a bomb.
Or it might accidentally kill you because you did it wrong.
Well, that's why you need to know how to do it correctly.
I hate bomb bowling.
Bomb
Can we
bowling.
move on?
Okay. Is there anything else to talk about?
Did we talk about Professor Layton in depth, or did we just skim over that?
We can talk about Layton.
Is there much
I don't
to
have
say
much.
about- Professor Lane, he has puzzles. They're all
He has,
puzzle-like.
hey, this reminds me of a puzzle. Everything. His brain just works in puzzles. It's amazing. I love
The
it.
issue I have with
It's great.
Layton is that I can get too puzzled out. I'm all like, I need to play something besides puzzles.
Yeah, after a while, you kind of are just like, oh man, I don't want to look at these puzzles anymore. I'm done with this. Yeah, that is a good point.
When you think too
It's good, though.
complicated with puzzles, like some math problems with squares and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, let's do the math. Oh, wait, I was supposed to just base this off of pictures, okay?
The thing I like about Layton is how, like, it is at its core about the tiny puzzles that you have to do throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
But then the overarching story itself is like a puzzle because it's all sort of a mystery, and you have to sort of solve. Like, you have to solve the puzzle of the story as it goes, and things unravel, and I think that's a really good way of doing it. Like, the gameplay is these tiny puzzles, but there is this big overall puzzle that you're playing through in the context of the story.
The puzzle called life.
That's. I haven't
It's
spent
almost-
a lot of time with Aiden, but that sounds pretty good. It's always a great
Yeah.
thing when your gameplay can reflect the
Yeah.
overall like story arc.
It's like a puzzle within a puzzle.
Within another puzzle.
I've left a silence there so that I can put the Inception noise in. I just thought I'd remind myself to do that, because otherwise I would totally forget and it'd look really stupid. Anyway, I think that's it, though. I think
Well,
we've covered
Speaking of
everything we
Layton,
wanted to
there's
say.
also Phoenix Wright.
Oh,
That's true. And we were
Yeah,
sort
who
of
cares?
back and forth a little bit on whether Phoenix Wright is puzzle based. It's a little bit hard to pin down, I'd say.
I'd say it's as much as a puzzle as some other non-puzzle specific games are.
Yeah. I think that's
I've never played it, so I am.
I played a demo
No
of
idea.
the whatever, but yeah, I'd like to try one out. I just don't want to buy it.
right.
I think I'm the same as you. I don't care enough to pay for like a game. I also don't have anything I could play it on right now because I love my handhelds.
Oh, that's
Like,
You
unfortunate.
poor person, you.
I suppose you
No,
could
I-
emulate it if you so desired.
Whoa, that's illegal. No one does that. No, also I never play handheld games anyway, so I
Right.
don't really care enough.
I played only the first game, and very recently.
Fair enough.
And admittedly, I got the game from a friend, but I will be buying future entries because it really sold me. Like, the characters are so charming, the writing is very hilarious, and the way the game works is that you go through a series of cases that you have to
Yeah.
basically
Collect evidence.
Collect
and
evidence and
Present that.
prove.
Yeah.
prove the person that you're defending to be not guilty,
Yeah.
of course. But the way that you do that can be considered a puzzle. It's not a puzzle in a direct
Yeah.
sense. There's no block moving or anything, but you have to sort of figure out patterns in the dialogue. You have to detect inconsistencies and
Yeah.
call out people on it. And you
I
have
have
to
a question.
make connections between various evidence.
Yeah. I have a question about Professor Layton. Do you ever have to prove someone not guilty when they are guilty?
In Professor Layton?
Yeah, is Layton always on the good
You mean
side, or does he sometimes
Phoenix
like...
Wright or Professor Layton?
No, damn it, I'm an idiot. Phoenix Wright, yeah.
I mean, there
okay,
was a
I'm
Phoenix
dumb.
Wright and Professor Layton game, but
Damn it, I'm stupid.
Um,
The question still stands. In Phoenix Wright, do you ever have to defend someone who actually is guilty? Because I think that'd be a cool twist, wouldn't it? It'd have a morally ambiguous sort of sense of like, you know, you're a lawyer, he is guilty, but you're being paid to defend him.
I have only played the first game, and honestly, I don't remember everything too clearly.
Oh, man.
There's a part where you have to defend someone that seems to be actually guilty, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether or not they end up actually being guilty in the end.
Well, leave us a comment if you know the answer to that question.
Well,
'cause-
if you do, it would probably be a spoiler, so I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, that's a good point, actually.
I just want to
But,
say it would be pretty amusing if you did have to like solve a block puzzle to prove that your person's not guilty. It's like, jury, watch me solve this, and then you will
I
know
feel
the
like-
truth.
I feel like there might be some silly stuff along those lines in the DS version of the first game, or I think it's like a trilogy collection. They added certain cases where a lot of it is based around the touchscreen because it's been ported to the DS. So it might be
Yeah.
along those lines. I'm not sure. I haven't tried yet.
Fair enough. I think it's probably about time for us to wrap this episode, though.
Yep.
So, if we've probably forgotten or neglected to mention some good puzzle games. So if you can think of anything,
Oh,
any good puzzles or any good puzzle games, then leave us a comment. Have you got something, a final word?
yes, I forgot to mention. When we were talking earlier about Tetris, I meant to bring up this website that I discovered a long time ago called Tetris Friends. I believe it's just
Yep.
tetrisfriends.com. It's
Right.
a website where you can play like a lot of different versions of Tetris, but the cool thing about it is you can make an account and like play Tetris competitively against other people, including like people that you know in person. So you can be on like a Skype call, for example, playing competitive Tetris like up against each other and like affecting each other's games.
That's quite cool, actually.
It's very fun, and it's not too hard to set up.
We should do a Let's Play in it.
Maybe. It can get really chaotic at times depending on your settings.
That's cool. I'll have to look into that. That sounds quite good.
Yeah.
Well, the last thing I want to say is that obviously the best puzzle game is programming. So much fun trying to make things work, and then it fails, and then you finally get it fixed, and then there's more errors.
No, programming is trial and error, and when it does work, you don't know why, and when it doesn't work, you don't know why.
Sometimes you just have to copy and paste into a new file, and then boom, it's working.
I hate programming. I refuse it. Alright, so I think we're done here. Are we good?
Yeah.
Are we good? Are we done?
I think so.
Finally. So, yeah, leave us a comment. If we missed anything, we'll probably be in the comments. I know Smearg will probably be there, leaving us comments and stuff. I will be, so tell us anything we missed. Tell us if we're stupid. And I think that's it. That's been the ZBN podcast. I've been Dan.
I've been Smearg.
I'm still Xiaber.
And follow the ZBN on Twitter. Dislike, comment, and unsubscribe. It's been a while since I pulled that one out, but I'm doing it anyway. And
reverse psychology.
Yeah. Goodbye. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
So I've been totally bleeding this entire time. And some of it's gone on the floor. I've got like a hardwood floor. And there's now just like drops of blood everywhere. I'm going to have to clean my floor now.